Everything in Selina England's home reminds her of her partner Alan Fitzel.
We're together for nearly 21 years. He was just the funniest guy, just a character, he was a clown. Yeah, he was the funniest guy, just beautiful, best dad.
On the 4th of January this year, Alan was having a shower when he suffered a heart attack in the family's home in Geelong, an hour from Melbourne.
He collapsed in the bathroom and tried to ring 000, and the operator just kept saying, I'm sorry, I'll try a different line. Couldn't get through.
And how hard was that wait?
It was horrible. Yeah, absolutely. It felt like hours. Just, having your partner. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's really hard to talk about.
Yeah, lying on the floor. Yeah, and not being able to connect through.
And how long were you waiting for the call to go through?
Nearly 7 minutes.
What was the person on the phone saying when you were trying to call?
Just apologising and saying, I'm sorry. I'll try a different line. I'm sorry. Yeah.
18 minutes after the first call, help finally arrived.
3 ambulances and a fire truck arrived, all at the same time. And it was just chaos. They got a pulse back. And, took him to hospital and, he was on machines, and the next day his heart stopped. Our middle son, he had to do CPR on his dad. Yeah, and that was hard.
Victoria's 000 call service, known as Esther, has been under the spotlight in recent months, and while the staff at the centre haven't been criticised, the system has. Last week, a damning report found at least 33 Victorians died following delays at the emergency call service between December 2020 and May 2022. And while we can't say for sure the delays caused the deaths, the report did highlight problems with funding and staffing. It made 8 recommendations which the Victorian government has accepted in full.
We have committed to implement all of those findings to make Esther as strong as we can possibly make it, so that in the event that we have further unique events, we're in the best possible position we can possibly be. We're recruiting and have already recruited hundreds of additional staff because we know that Esther and Victoria has to deal with thousands of extra calls.
When you lose a loved one, you genuinely want answers, and I think it's really important you get those answers.
The state opposition says Esther's funding needs to be overhauled to deal with surges in the volume of calls for help during crises.
The biggest problem with Esther is they needed recurrent funding so they could actually plan for growth and be prepared for surge when they had it, for things like asthma, Black Saturday or the Burke Street tragedy.
The problems with the state's emergency call centre first emerged in 2020. Over the next year, reports from The Age newspaper emerged of Victorians waiting minutes instead of the benchmark 5 seconds for their emergency call to be answered. Several people died following the delays, which occurred amidst a surge in demand during COVID outbreaks. In October 2021, the government commissioned a review into the 000 call-taking system. It handed down its result this May, highlighting several failings and making recommendations including funding for more staff. The government pledged to overhaul Esther, hire more call takers and inject $333 million into the organisation. Then, last weekend, the government released a second review into the agency.
We apologise for a system that did not meet your needs. We absolutely apologise, and we appreciate just how challenging this will be for you.
Emergency services, when you need fire brigade.
But the Premier said the funding model of the state's 000 call-taking agency was not to blame.
Nothing in that model would avoid the system being overwhelmed by thousands of additional calls for day after day after day. That's just the fact.
However, the report found that an inconsistent funding model was the main cause of Esther's inability to meet increased demand during the Delta and Omicron COVID waves. Ian Cameron from the Retired Ambulance Association of Victoria believes one solution may be reverting to the previous system where police, fire and ambulance agencies would handle calls individually rather than through the centralised Esther system.
There are some in the emergency services who feel that it should be broken up and go back to the original way it was prior to Esther, with the individual services running their own emergency response telephone system. But my personal view is that it should go back to the ambulance service, where they have total control of the training, the operations, and the facilities to provide the proper and right actions necessary for the 000 system to work effectively.
The opposition is calling for another review by the state's Auditor General to investigate the financial state of the service.
He's highlighted the fact about recurrent funding, but he actually can't investigate that because it's not under his provisions of what he can do with legislation. He can only do operations.
The report's author, Tony Pearce, the 000 call agency Esther and the government all declined to be interviewed by 7:30. But in a statement, the Emergency Services Minister Jacqueline Symes apologised to Victorians who lost loved ones over the past 2 years.
92.8% of calls during the month of August were answered within 5 seconds. That is in fact exceeding the benchmark that we have in place.
The our two boys that are just like their dad. Heart of gold, caring, funny, yeah.
Selina Engelin welcomes the report, but she's still searching for answers about the delays that preceded her partner's death, and she's seeking a personal apology from the Premier.
I want to know why it took so long, and I'm actually sick of everything being blamed on COVID. Shouldn't have happened. Shouldn't have happened to Ellen, shouldn't have happened to all those other families.